Hello and welcome to Best Recaps. Today we will talk about a story in which Mike Howell, a young slacker who lives in a small town and spends his time drawing comics about a superpowered monkey, becomes the target of a CIA operation. When this happens, Mike himself and his girlfriend Phoebe are surprised to discover that Mike was trained to be a killing machine but lost his memory. So today we will see American Ultra. The first scene shows our protagonist, Mike, inside a prison, being interrogated by a man who shows him specific objects that bring back memories of catastrophic days. It all started 3 days earlier, when Mike was having a good time with his girlfriend Phoebe. He narrates that he was planning to propose soon, but before that, he decided to organize a trip to Hawaii, which didn't happen because Mike had a panic attack in the airport restroom. On the way home, they are both stopped by Officer Watts, who taunts Mike because he knows about the guy's problems, and he has been previously arrested for illegal substances. Upon arriving home, Mike starts preparing dinner while Phoebe unpacks her things, visibly upset. Mike decides to play her favorite song while looking at the engagement ring. But after a few minutes, Phoebe notices that the food is burning, and this angers her even more, claiming that Mike should stop apologizing. Days later, Mike goes to work to do his routine, which includes using illegal substances, organizing shelves, and drawing rather strange things. While Mike is changing the sign, the camera zooms out to a satellite, and soon we see a woman in an office receiving a call from an anonymous person informing her that they've found their target, which doesn't seem to make the woman very happy. Meanwhile, Mike tells Phoebe a story he recently wrote, and she suggests he should focus on writing. Instead of being happy, Mike starts crying, mentioning that he feels like he's a hindrance to her progress. But Phoebe comforts him, and once in bed, Mike apologizes again for being a burden. The next day at the CIA, Victoria quickly approaches Adrian, scolding him for reviving an experiment she conducted a while ago but abandoned because it harmed people. However, Adrian tells her he can't do anything about it, and that Howell, our protagonist, will soon be in their hands. Simultaneously, Mike makes an excuse saying he has to go to work, and he meets up with his friend Rose, who gives him several fireworks for his marriage proposal, believing that such decisions would change his life completely. Later on, Victoria sees Mike from her vehicle, so she decides to enter the store and starts repeating keywords that seem to confuse the young man a bit. However, with no success, she leaves the place. That night, while Mike is preparing dinner, he notices that some men are doing something to his car, so he has no choice but to ask them what's going on. At that moment, they approach him, but something seems to change within him, and he quickly eliminates both of them with a gun and some soup. He then calls Phoebe, saying he has to leave, or else he'll have another panic attack, as he has just killed 2 men who tried to eliminate him. Upon arrival, Phoebe can't believe what she's seeing, but Mike admits that he also doesn't know why or how it happened. Later, a patrol car arrives to arrest them, just as Adrian is informed that Howell allegedly eliminated 2 of his most important agents with a spoon. Adrian asks them where the man is, and the soldier tells him that he has been arrested. In prison, Phoebe asks Mike to calm down, because they need to come up with a convincing testimony, but he recounts even worse things. So she asks him to tell her what the woman from the store had shared with him. Then Mike repeats the phrase, thinking that something seemed to change within him when he did. Subsequently, he is interrogated by a detective, and Phoebe decides to speak for him, but this only makes the man mock them and lock him up without warning. Then a woman shoots up the entrance with a machine gun while her partner enters the cells, starting a fight with Mike, who changes personalities again. On the other hand, all the officers are taken down by the strange woman, and before she can shoot Mike, the detective ties her to a chair, but she still pursues them outside the building. She throws a grenade at Mike, who quickly throws it back, causing everything to explode, and the woman falls. Hours later, Victoria threatens Adrian with destroying them and continues with her assassination plan. But he tells her that he can't do anything because besides being a woman, all he has is a cell phone to call him. In the distance, Phoebe has a panic attack, suggesting that there is something strange behind all of this, and that before becoming another person, Mike had mentioned a tree. The mentioned tree tells her to calm down and suggests they leave in their car. But suddenly, the car explodes with the touch of a plastic bag. At the police station, Victoria observes the bodies of the men sent by Adrian and then calls her friend, who by the way is named Pity, to inform him that she has activated Mike Howell. But Pity tells her that he doesn't want to get involved in such dangerous matters. Elsewhere, our protagonist has childhood memories but is interrupted by Phoebe, who asks if he's okay. When they exit the car, Mike wonders if he's a robot with karate skills or biological engineering, and Phoebe tells him to stop thinking about such things. Then the boy reveals that he can tell her the names of 50 different tanks, but it's strange because he had never studied that kind of vehicles. As they enter a house, they are greeted by Rose, who thought they were cops. In the store, Adrian scolds the sergeant for setting up an entire base in the parking lot when he had asked for their operation to be covert. Then, he asks to see the resources, which were locked in a container. At that moment, Adrian recognizes Lager, who mentions that Howell knocked out his teeth in the middle of a confrontation. Mike tells Rose not to worry because he doesn't plan to stay long, but the man is scared, thinking that the police will arrive soon. He warmly greets Mike, saying that they have a fantasy football league, and Harold mentions that he has no idea what that is. Phoebe asks Rose what he means by monkeys and masks, to which the man responds that the government has been manipulating them from the outside. Then he shows them the news, where the woman reports that a type D epidemic has broken out and that Victoria and Mike are being blamed for the chaos, considered highly contagious. Rose believes that Mike is involved with people from the CIA, so he tries to shoot him, but Mike quickly disarms him, leaving everyone surprised. He tells them he doesn't plan to harm them and returns the gun, confessing that he started feeling strange that morning and had acquired the ability to skillfully eliminate others. Before being locked in a room, Mike asks Rose not to contact the police, and the man tells him no because if he does, he would be executed too. Once alone, the boy questions whether the disease is real as he looks in the mirror, but comes to the conclusion that it is not. On the other hand, Victoria reads the newspaper, which shows that Lager, the guy whose teeth Mike knocked out, was a psychopath who was released from the asylum. Simultaneously, Adrian calls Pity to express that what he is doing by helping Victoria is called betrayal, as she is now considered a corrupt fugitive from the CIA. Because of this, Pity contacts Victoria to tell her that she shouldn't continue with the plan, as it would make her a traitor to the nation, which greatly concerns her. In the room, Phoebe makes an opening to escape through the ceiling, but Mike tells her they should just wait for Rose to open the door. Phoebe tells him she won't be guided by the words of an addict. She doesn't know. Returning to Adrian, he asks the sergeant where Mike is, to which the sergeant responds that he has been located at a friend's house, and Adrian orders him to send 3 of his assets and then fill the place with turbiologen gas. At that moment, Adrian's men eliminate Rose's companions, which alerts Rose, and a fight ensues, during which Phoebe falls from the ceiling, distracting the thug. Mike takes advantage of this to eliminate him, while Phoebe puts on a gas mask upon realizing what they were trying to do. Then, she drags Mike outside. Mike starts losing consciousness, and Phoebe repeatedly shouts at him not to fall asleep, causing her voice to make him remember all their moments together before all this happened. Fortunately, Mike returns to himself and asks her how she knew what gas it was. Reluctantly, Phoebe confesses that she was assigned Pose as his girlfriend 5 years ago. This revelation causes Mike to have a panic attack, so he starts running while being chased by her inside the car. The young man asks if he is real and if she has been lying to him, but Phoebe only says that some things are true. Mike starts insulting her, but they are interrupted when a truck pushes them off a small bridge. Later, Lager drags Phoebe out of the car, admitting that he can't eliminate her because they've been asked to take her with them. However, he begins pouring gasoline on the vehicle, with Mike inside, and as he wakes up Phoebe to see the fire, Victoria approaches to help the young man. In the base, Adrian mocks the girl for insisting on leaving the CIA to be with a young addict and poor man, instead of informing her superiors about the mission from 5 years ago. Simultaneously, Victoria wakes up Mike to ask if he recognizes her, to which the young man questions if she's his mom. And after denying it, she tells him that they met a long time ago when Mike was taken to the correctional facility for using acid. The woman was working on an experiment with repeat offenders with more than 3 sanctions to give them a second chance, but all the other test subjects failed, and instead, he did very well, even though it was driving them crazy. So she chose to close the investigation and give them new identities. Mike is upset by this as it left him adrift with a fake girlfriend, but their conversation is interrupted by a man who quickly calls the police to report the guys on TV. The news soon reaches Adrian, who orders Pity to send a missile to destroy the city. Phoebe disagrees with what he plans to do, although her attempt to escape is unsuccessful. While Pity prepares the missile, Phoebe tells Adrian that her boyfriend isn't dumb enough to go back home after the chaos, but it soon becomes apparent that Mike did decide to go home to rest, which Victoria doesn't find a good idea. Inside the house, Mike takes a break, while the woman tells him that ever since she met him during the experiments, Phoebe always supported him because, unlike the others, he always passed all the tests. But when the investigation and experiment were closed, the girl decided to accompany him to the city so he could adapt so that she could leave. Surprisingly, she chose to stay with him, leaving her position and her previous life behind. Minutes later, Victoria hears a strange sound and, upon investigating, is attacked by a man who ends up being thrown through the window by Mike. Upon seeing this, the other soldiers start shooting at the house, but the boy manages to hide. Soon, Adrian is informed about the sighting of his target, and he orders Pity to start directing the missile towards the location. More armed men arrive at the house, but Victoria and Mike manage to survive. At that moment, Adrian orders them to open fire. However, Pity is in a moral dilemma with himself. Before the missile is launched, Pity decides to disconnect, knowing that he has condemned himself to death. Seeing this, the frustrated Adrian orders everyone to move to Plan B. On the other hand, Victoria laments the loss of her partner Otis, and they soon receive a call from Adrian, who asks Mike if his house is on fire. But Mike tells him that everything is in perfect order. Then, the man asks him to meet at the parking lot of his workplace to surrender, and the boy asks if he has to sign something, causing Adrian to become even more annoyed. Afterward, he mentions that Phoebe is with him, and that if he wants to see her alive, he has to do what he asks. To verify, Adrian lets them talk, and the girl takes the opportunity to tell him that she was always the one holding him back from growing. Adrian rushes to enlist his soldiers, informing them that they must be very careful because Mike was a highly secretive and lethal target. Although this is quite the opposite, as our protagonist starts setting off fireworks all around while driving a vehicle, forcing everyone to run for cover. Mike crashes through the entrance with his car and then uses the speakers to tell Phoebe that everything will be fine soon and that he wants to have children with her. Adrian orders one of his men to go after Mike, who uses a refrigerator to shield himself from the bullets and reach the other side, where he eliminates them one by one with pans and cold cuts. Mike is injured at that moment, but manages to confuse the other soldiers with fireworks and then uses a hammer in the midst of the smoke. Phoebe tells Adrian to let her go since she's the only target Mike has, but he refuses and drags her further inside while ordering Lager to finish off our protagonist. Phoebe tries to escape from Adrian, but once again, she is unsuccessful. At the same time, Mike and Lager fight with everything they have at their disposal, from guns to tools, mutually. After being beaten by the girl, Adrian begins to retreat and is soon strangled by Victoria on the shelves. Mike takes advantage of Lager's distraction to grab the gun, and the man starts laughing uncontrollably, saying that they were both made in the same experiment, but that apparently Mike was much better than him. He then asks who gave the orders, and when Mike says he doesn't know, Lager comments that it must be something very lovely, which seems to lower the boy's guard. When Victoria is about to take Adrian's life, Kruger appears to order her to lower the weapon. Inside, Phoebe finally reunites with Mike and asks if he's still alive. After confirming it, Sibby helps him walk to the exit, where they are targeted by police officers' laser sights. Unexpectedly, he throws himself on the floor in front of his girlfriend to give her the engagement ring, which Phoebe obviously accepts. Mike celebrates his victory, but before he can kiss her, they are both left unconscious on the floor. Elsewhere, Pity is arrested, and then Victoria and Adrian are reprimanded by Kruger, who informs them that they have interfered in a government mission. Adrian tells him that he is not to blame, as he was just an entrepreneur who wanted to continue a low-budget project to achieve something, and that if he had succeeded in his project, he probably would have congratulated him. However, Kruger coldly shoots him while Victoria begs him not to do the same to her. Surprisingly, Kruger reveals that he was the one who called her that day to inform her that they had found Howell, and that he did it out of respect, but seeing that she behaved like a spoiled child, he regretted not eliminating the boy. She believes they shouldn't execute him because in addition to having invested over $400 million in him, he is an extremely valuable and powerful resource unlike anything she has ever seen in her life. And once again, we return to the scene from the opening minutes where Mike is interrogated by the detective. In Manila 6 months later, Phoebe and Mike arrive at a hotel to have some fun, but Phoebe notices the cameras in the chandelier of the place. While Mike gets on the elevator with two men who obviously kidnapped them, they can't believe that the weakling in front of them is dangerous. But when Mike sees all the tools he has to eliminate them, he starts laughing, provoking their anger. However, one of them is surprisingly attacked by our protagonist. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to comment below your favorite part. Until next time,